What's going on, analysts? Welcome to the All About Analysis YouTube channel, where we analyze things like, why is this individual wearing a three-piece suit on the most blistering hottest day of summer? Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to find out more, click that like button, the bell icon, subscribe, it's down here somewhere below, to keep checking out amazing content, hopefully like the ones you're going to see in this video coming up with yours truly. It's All About Analysis YouTube channel. Stay tuned. So I'll tell you as an aside, I have the absolute fortunate privilege, and some people watching may be familiar with the acronym ASIS, American Society of Industrial Security, more than I know the corporate security world, arguably anyways. And every year they have this big conference called the GSX, Global Security Change. I have the privilege of speaking there in Dallas, Texas in September. And for those of you watching, I'm here in Toronto, so it's a big deal for me to get on a plane and go there and do it. But to your point, to come full circle, I'm actually going to be speaking there on the must-knows of a new leadership role. So maybe to answer your question from a rudimentary level, as I've learned, there's what I would call 3 imperatives, or the 3 C's of a new leadership role, and also 5 dangers of a new leadership role. So I'll just maybe speak at a high level here. Absolutely, number 1, and I can tell you, I learned this full hand, and I know I talked, briefly moments ago just about falling flat on my face and coming to my realization of this world of leadership. The biggest mistake that I made was not forging connections. So the 3 C's are connections, competence, credibility. And that first one, trust is built on relationships, and I can't tell you how important it is from day one. Get to know your people, sit down with them, see it through their eyes, hear it through their ears. They're the front lines. They're the ones to tell you how the job's done. And I think it's Steve Jobs that said, or Richard Branson, one of the two, that said, we don't hire, smart, talented individuals for us to tell them how to do the job. It's vice versa. So it's really important. And even more than that, get to know these people, not inside the organization, but outside as well. Tell me about you. Give me the good, the bad, and the ugly. What's your light at the end of the tunnel? And I've come to learn as well, and we can all relate at some point in time, the idea of, running in the hamster wheel. What am I doing here? What's my purpose? So I've come to learn one of the many styles of leadership is that of visionary leadership. In the quintessential standpoint, it's, the organizational light at the end of the tunnel, what we're trying to accomplish from an organizational standpoint, tying it into the organizational direction of mission, vision, identity, and all the like. But forging these relationships, knowing what this individual's light at the end of the tunnel is, and being able to tie their day-to-day and any opportunities for growth and delegation and all the like to what that light is, that's going to invigorate this person. So absolutely number 1 for those who are realizing a newly conferred leadership role or looking to hone their skills, connections is number 1. That's the absolute pavement groundwork where everything's going to be forged from there. And then we get into things like competence, having to learn the facets of the job to be able to be somewhat on the same page as far as providing proper direction, and ultimately credibility. And that's when we start to get into the idea of do as you say as you do, get out there, lead from the front lines. And it certainly comes just by virtue of being present and doing the role you signed up to do. And ordinarily, once you've got connections down, once you've got the competence part down, credibility ordinarily organically comes from that. But even further than that, there's what I've come to learn is a number of dangers as well. Things that maybe even just coming into the role you may have otherwise led to believe somewhat of an inherent bias. And I'll tell you, the biggest one is now, oh boy, I'm the boss, I'm supposed to know everything. Number 1 is, the number 1 danger absolutely of any new leadership role is thinking you're going to have all the answers. You absolutely are not, and don't even think that you're going to, right? You'll want to be able to ask the right questions. You'll want to know who to go to, and that's part of building relationships as well. Which figurehead of which stakeholder group I want to go to get the right answer. Don't expect you're going to know everything. That absolutely is number 1. And it certainly goes on from there, right? Now you're in a leadership role, so be afraid potentially to speak first, always speak last, because you don't want to bias persons. Your words or your demeanor is going to carry a lot more weight. So when you're trying to have healthy group discussions, let it be open and transparent. Don't taint the room. Always definitely foster a very open and transparent environment. I've found that's very, very important as well. If people are at the table and people aren't talking, you got a bit of an issue for sure, right? And again, I'll tell you for myself as well, one of the hardest parts, although certainly you'll want to have a knack for the technical competency in regards to the person that you may now have responsible charge from. One of the hardest points for me is letting go. And I'll tell you, for me, I'm Mr. POA, or the provincial offenses guy. I had this inherent subject matter expertise, as for such example. But these are the things you have to relinquish. It's the front line that's going to be doing it now. And I know a lot of people talk about when they take that next step up, they still have this inherent knack to want to go and do the work of the front lines, but really you're there to cheerlead and support the front lines and basically say, hey, what can I do for you? I'm here to work for you now, so you can just, you know, focus on the role potential that you may used to do. So I know there's a number of little avenues I covered, but I would say all encompassing just from that standpoint at a rudimentary level, if these are the types of things people can get in the mindset of in their approach in these perceivable leadership roles, anything, I guess, supervisor and above, I think they'd be in a good state of affairs to move forward. And that's not to preclude from the idea that there's something to be said of persons that lead from the front line, you know, those persons that just have this natural ability to attract people from them. And, you know, quite simply, once you made the distinction or the decision to take care of those to the left or to the right of you, you really are considered a leader anyways, right? So thank you so much for watching this episode. Before I go grab a drink of water, before I pass out here in the heat, I tell you what, again, click that like button, the bell icon, subscribe if you have not done so already. It really helps us out, really helps the channel, and really helps promote bringing much more excellent content for your benefit. So go ahead, do it, and I'm out here to grab a ball of Evian water. See you later.